Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
For years, Spain has refused to grant Catalan nationalists a Scottish-style referendum on independence. Now, Spain and the pro-independence movement in Catalonia have reached a standoff over a planned independence referendum on the 1st of October, which the Spanish state regards as illegal. Police searches in the Catalan capital Barcelona sparked a mass street protest yesterday. An estimated 40,000 people blocked the entrance to the Catalan Economy Ministry late into the night after officers from Spain's Civil Guard raided this and other regional government buildings. Spanish police arrested 14 people, including senior pro-independence Catalan politicians. They also seized a vast amount of election material. I'm joined now via the internet by the Republican left leader on Barcelona City Council, Alfred Bosch, who supports the referendum, and Charles Ablett, a British man who has lived in Barcelona for 30 years and is against the referendum. Alfred Bosch, first of all, Spain's constitutional court has ruled that the Catalan independence referendum is illegal, but you want to hold it anyway. Why?
Well, we've been good afternoon to you, and let's specify first that the arrests were done before the demonstration, prior to the demonstration. The demonstration was a protest for that, because the crackdown of the Spanish government and the 15 detentions which took place yesterday are illegal. There's no decree, no law. There has been no debate in Congress which backs this operation, a police operation. So what we have been doing is calling for a referendum, which is acknowledged in the Spanish constitution. And the problem is about something which the Spanish government doesn't like. The issue would be the independence of Catalonia, something which was done in Scotland and which was negotiated by David Cameron, cannot be negotiated with Mr. Rajoy, although we have offered him dozens of times to talk about this. He has never offered the slightest dialogue on this issue. So that's why we have to do a democratic exercise.
Right. Charles Ablett, is this sort of intimidation by the state justified?
It's not intimidation by the state at all. It was a Barcelona judge who is investigating charges of embezzlement and appropriation of personal data for a crime that was denounced in January, and it's the Barcelona judge who ordered the arrests and the searches in those 40 different offices belonging to the Catalan government. And those people are being charged with criminal offences relating to the misuse of public monies. It's not a state oppression at all. State police, Spanish police, have also been raiding printers to seize material for the illegal referendum, or the sham referendum, because it's not a referendum at all, because separatists are the ones who are organising it. They're the ones who'll be manning the polling stations, pretending to do the recount, allowing people to vote as many times as they like, because in the end, the vote is absolutely fraudulent. Right.
Well, can you answer that question, Alfred Bosch, that it is fraudulent, that this is a long-standing campaign from hardliners and their supporters for independence and doesn't actually reflect opinion in Catalonia at large?
Well, I can answer your question, obviously. The fact is that the Catalan government is actually delivering. And for once that politicians deliver and fulfill a promise, I think we should look at them with respect. Because the last elections in Catalonia, let me remind that there's a Catalan government, a Catalan parliament. Elections are obviously official and fully legal.
Right,
now,
but what's the support? But what is the real support for independence and for a referendum? Because the polls recently... Yeah, go on.
When in pro-independence parties called for the elections were convened, and the result was obviously favourable in a huge majority to pro-independence parties. And then they committed themselves not to proclaim independence straight away, but to go for another vote, which is this referendum. That's because we choose a democratic path, and what the government of Mr. Rajoy is doing is preventing people from voting yes or voting no to independence. Let me remind both options are there.
Right, Charles Ablett, respond to that, please.
Okay, first of all, referendum was never on the electoral programme of those in favour of independence in the last regional elections. They didn't win the last regional elections. They got a bare 35% of the electorate, 47% of the votes. And so, although the voting system gives a great advantage to rural areas over city areas, they cannot say that they have any kind of mandate for independence. And that's just not true.
All right.
And aside from that, there's a requirement for a qualified majority for any kind of important laws. For example, to create an electoral law in Catalonia, we've been 40 years with that one, you have to have 90 votes in the House of Parliament Catalan. And we don't have that. These laws were illegally passed without the intervention of the Council for Statutory Guarantees, without the intervention of the Secretary General of the lawyers, the senior lawyers of the Parliament. This was a complete overthrow of the rule of law. It was a declaration of independence in all but name.
OK, Charles, just very briefly, yes or no, Alfred Bosch, if the ballot goes ahead and it's a yes vote, will you declare independence within 48 hours?
That's our commitment, and yes, that's what should be done if we want to fulfill our promises. And let me remind that it was the Catalan Parliament who passed all these laws with very substantial majority. OK,
you said yes, and that's fine. That was the answer to my question. I'm going to have to stop you there because we've run out of time, but thank you both very much for joining us today.
Now, in Barcelona, thousands of protesters have been on the streets again demanding the release of a dozen regional officials detained for organising a Catalonian independence referendum. Now, Spain's Constitutional Court is planning to fine 22 electoral officials up to €12,000 a day each for their part in what the court says is an illegal vote. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Jonathan Rugman has this.
As Britain leaves the EU, another Pandora's box is opening in Catalonia. Thousands demonstrated outside Barcelona's High Court this afternoon, demanding the release of officials accused of organising an independence vote. Spain's refusal to let next month's referendum go ahead is now in danger of backfiring into mounting support for it.
The Spanish government hasn't respected the will for dialogue. It's assaulted Catalan institutions without any respect for anything.
The crisis escalated on Tuesday when Spanish police clashed with demonstrators who were staging a sit-in outside a postal company. The police had just seized more than 45,000 letters being sent to voters, on top of 1.3 million election posters and pamphlets seized at the weekend. Then, early yesterday, paramilitary police raided Catalonian government offices and made the first arrests of local officials accused of sedition. Thousands then blocked the Gran Via through Barcelona, and a ballot box was paraded through the crowd, as the Spanish government announced that nearly 10 million ballot papers had been impounded by police. The president of the Catalonian Parliament accused the Prime Minister of reviving the worst of the Franco era, a message echoed by the region's president in what is Spain's biggest constitutional crisis since the end of dictatorship.
We will not accept a return to the darkest times, and the Catalan government stands by freedom and democracy.
Last night there were arrests outside local government buildings and scuffles with police, while in Madrid, Spain's Prime Minister called for a return to normality and refused to back down.
The government is doing what it has to do, and I have to say, we will keep on doing that until the very end.
Even if the October the 1st vote does go ahead, Spain's Constitutional Court has declared it illegal. Only 41% in Catalonia want independence, according to a recent survey. But the risk for Madrid is that the more it tries to stop the vote, the greater the appeal of breaking away.
Jonathan Rugman reporting.
The row about the Catalan Parliament's proposed independence referendum took a fresh turn today, with Spain's Constitutional Court imposing daily fines of up to €10,000 on officials in Barcelona for every day they continue to organise the vote. One senior Treasury civil servant is being held on sedition charges. Thousands of separatist supporters have been protesting at what they see as Spanish interference in their right to self-determination. Our correspondent Tom Burridge joins us now from Barcelona. Good evening, Tom. Is there quite a clampdown by the Guardia Civil tonight, or are people demonstrating?
Well, I think for now the Spanish state is kind of pausing, breathing. I mean, what the Spanish state doesn't want to do is go over-egg this. I mean, in the eyes of many people in Catalonia, they already have with their actions yesterday. I mean, there's clearly political tension here. And I think, you know, there's no sign of this quietening down. Tomorrow we're expecting more Catalan officials, 6 of the 14 arrested yesterday by Spanish police, to appear at the court, where there was a huge demonstration earlier today again. On the one hand, you've got the Catalan people really pressing for this referendum. They really are determined. The nationalist movement, they've been working towards this moment for years, pressuring and prodding the Spanish government with no effect really, to try and let them hold a vote. On the other hand, you've got the Spanish police, apparently, according to reports, hundreds, if not thousands of Spanish police in 2 huge ships parked in Barcelona port. And you wonder, at what point does the Spanish state begin to bring those into the process? You know, what will happen on the vote day itself, October the 1st, if we get to that stage with the Catalan government insisting tonight they are still going to go ahead? Will Spanish police actually physically stop people going to the polls, or really just try and prevent logistically this vote from taking place?
But let's just be clear that we're talking about 2 massive cruise ships with riot police on board, getting on board already. That is explosive, isn't it?
It could be. I mean, on the one hand, you know, the Catalan Independence movement have prided themselves on being a pacifist movement. I mean, it was telling last night at the demonstration outside the local economy ministry, when Spanish civil guard police were inside, seizing documents, leaflets linked to the referendum, arresting individuals. Outside there was this huge demonstration, and even when, after hours, when the Spanish civil guard officers were actually sort of holed up inside with protesters basically blocking them from exiting, when they finally came out with the help of Catalan police, actually there was very, very little violence. So in one sense, I'm not predicting that this is going to go bang, if you like, in a sort of in a violent way. But politically speaking, it's very difficult to see how this is going to progress. I mean, the Catalan president coming out tonight and saying we have contingency plans after the actions of the Spanish state. The Spanish government is doing all it can with its powers up to a certain point. But as I said, it doesn't want to kind of over-egg. It doesn't want to antagonise Catalan nationalists and give them more reason to call more people out onto the streets, and give, I guess, the Catalan devolved government a more clearer, legitimate reason for pushing ahead with this vote.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom.
I've been